Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer LB4310-350-632. This is a typical single acting spring hinge, full mortise. What I mean typical is, let's dissect the part number. It's LB4310. So LB stands for a maintenance-free style of bearing called lube bearing from Bommer. The 4310 means that it is a templated pattern, square corner hinge, in a residential leaf thickness of 96 thousandths. So it's a typical leaf thickness for residential doors. The -350 is a reference to the size. That means that this hinge is 3.5 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. Okay. The 632 is a reference to the finish. That's a polished brass finish. That means it's a polished brass on a steel base, is what that means. The hinge is made of steel. There's a magnet, okay, and a polished brass finish to it. This is a full mortise hinge, and you can see that from the swag on the hinge leaves, which means that the hinge is intended to be mortised to the edge of the door and the frame so that everything is flush. Okay. There is, first of all, this hinge is available from Bommer in every conceivable size that you would need, finish, okay, etc. Single acting spring hinge, very typical. You're going to see this on garage doors to homes if you had an 1 3/8 door. The 3.5 inch by 3.5 inches a tip off that the door is probably 1 3/8. Some people might even put these onto bedroom doors or doors that they just want to have in a closed position, rooms that are not used often, into, you know, why heat a room that's no one is ever in, so they can keep a door closed, whatever the case might be for that. Template pattern means that this is a standard, somewhat very common location for the screw holes. Screws are included. Okay, all wood screws, all machine screws are included in a complementary finish. Bommer makes these for every different kind of manufacturer of door, residential door and frame as well, meaning the locations of the screws could be in different locations based on the need, which would be a different part number. And if you have questions on that, feel free to reach out to us. We'll help you find the right spring hinge. There is a link below this video to the template, which shows everything important dimensionally about everything we've just discussed. Below this video also is a guide to how many spring hinges you would use. Up to 3 foot by 7 foot doors is what is being recommended. 2 hinges if you're dealing with a door up to about 85 pounds, and 3 spring hinges if it's over, you know, and up to about 110. You can mix, very common question, can you mix and match with standard hinges? Yes, the vertical axis of pivoting is compatible with standard 3.5 inch hinges. So if you had a door with 3 hinges and you were going to do 2 of these, no problem. That bottom hinge, the standard hinge that you would leave there, would work with this. I'm a fan of all spring hinges, though, if you're not sure of how many you need, especially if it's a solid core door. What I have found, and there's a link to, you know, what I'm about to say below this video as well, called Certifications and Hinge Selection Guide. What I have found is when I have more spring hinges rather than less, I can share the work between the springs more evenly, which allows me a greater amount of success when trying to get the door to not only close, but latch. And latch in such a way that I don't have to get this door moving so quickly that it could possibly slam or not latch. Think of it like a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but they can pull a lot. And having more springs allows me a greater amount of torque, let's say, to get the door not only through its closing cycle, but also latching, to overcome all the wind resistance and overcome the friction of the latch hitting the strike before it closes. And I found greater success when I'm working with more springs. If it's a heavy door and I've got to turn that spring up at the top so high, I can get it to get moving real fast, but I can't get it to latch, or I'm getting it latching too hard. And you'll find that you'll have a varying amount of success through time as well. based on seasons, etc. Word to the wise, if you're not sure, opt to going with more rather than less. They're not, quite frankly, that expensive, in my opinion. Now, setting the tension. There's a guide on the back of the box that you'll probably get, and if you don't, no problem. There's a link to installation instructions down at the bottom. You're going to get with the hinge what is called a tension rod, just a piece of steel. You're going to install the hinge with what is called the tension collar towards the top. This hinge can be used for left hand or for right hand applications. Insert the tension rod into one of those holes and turn it clockwise. You can see that when I do that, I reveal additional holes. That's how you set the tension. You pop a pin into there, and that pin I'm talking about is a tension pin. And there's 2 in this package because this client is getting 2 hinges. You only need 1 tension pin per hinge. Pop it in there. Then you can release that, pull your rod out, and do it again if you wanted to set more tension, which you would if you're initially setting it. And that's how that tension is set. And again, those instructions are right there for you to review. Don't overset them, because then you're really going to get into trouble. You could break the spring, which rarely happens, and if it does, it's not a failure of the product. There's just not enough spring hinges. That covers everything on this hinge. Again, available in every different color as well. The last thing I'd like to show you is the Bommer logo on there. You can see right above it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I, to represent them. Bommer's a full-line manufacturer of all things hinge related, not only residential hinges like this, but commercial hinges. They are a full-line manufacturer of the garden variety full mortise hinges, but they get into a lot of other things like heavy-duty, swing clear, and raised barrel, and half surface, and everything that you could possibly need. Great quality company, great quality people standing behind them. If you have any questions on this, on the Bommer LB4310-350-632 single acting full mortise spring hinge, or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.